Yeah. Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Natalie, may we have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Phil Goldstein.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Marty Jost.
Here.
Commissioner Tom Wood.
Here.
Commissioner Jeremy Holt.
Here.
Commissioner Wendy Newland. Alternate Mike Lewis.
Here. Commissioners, staff, any amendments to the agenda? All right. Determination, administrative determination of alternate voting. For your information, Wendy Newland was elevated to regular commissioner seat at the last council meeting. So she's vacant tonight. So Mike Lewis, you'll vote in Wendy's stead here tonight. Public comment. This is an opportunity for anybody who wishes to speak on an item that is not on the agenda. Natalie, anybody signed up for general public comment? Nope. Okay, we've opened and closed the general public comment. Consent agenda consists solely of the approval of the October 17th, 2023 meeting minutes. Commissioners, any additions or corrections to the minutes? Nope. Anybody? Okay, hearing none. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Business item 6A, Ladera preliminary plat. Kevin.
Thank you, Chairperson. As we're getting. Gotta love technology. We're talking about a white screen tonight, as you can see. It's all right, Chad, you can leave it there. Thank you, Chairperson. As you mentioned, this is the Ladera preliminary plat. The owner is Connell LLC, represented tonight by Mr. Grant Nelson. The applicant is Galloway. Sorry. Where we're at in the process is we're in the middle of the major subdivision process. We went through a sketch plan not too long ago with this property, and now we are in the first step of the platting, actual platting tonight. So we have the preliminary plat, and then the next application that will follow after this will be the final plat. The location of this property is located generally south and southeast of Whitesville and Sweatsville Zoo Road. This preliminary plat is zoned regional commercial with an existing PD overlay. This preliminary plat is for 12 commercial lots within the roughly 56 acres of developable area. The total area for this preliminary plat is 64 acres. That difference is just essentially the Whitesville Road right-of-way. The lots within this subdivision will range from roughly 1 acre in size to 9.5 acres in size, with 8 of the 12 lots being roughly 1 acre in size. This preliminary plat proposal does meet the open space requirements. They are including roughly 18 acres of open space, which is roughly 33% of the site. And the open space will be more of a natural open space that'll include some soft trails, some hard trails, and then some bench seating areas, and that's primarily due to the floodplain in the area. This preliminary plat is also in conformance with the approved sketch plan and the PD overlay. Both were recently approved in the past couple of months. A neighborhood meeting was held on this preliminary plat on August 17th to share this proposed plan and to gather any feedback. Roughly 4 residents attended that meeting, and their questions and concerns are noted in the observation report that is attached. Staff has reviewed this preliminary plat, and it is in conformance as it meets the sketch plan that was recently approved. It meets and furthers the goals of the comprehensive plan and the utility and transportation design is adequate, as it is utilizing already designed roads and utilities within Whitesville. They will extend expand those off streets from Whitesell, and then extend any utilities from the main lines within Whitesell. With that, I will turn it over to Grant for their presentation.
Grant, if I could just get 1 second, I'm going to reload this so we can get it to full screen.
There we go. Mouth with Wi-Fi. I like that.
That's the way I
That looks like mouth with Wi-Fi. I like that. And the little arrow thing is good. The little arrow, yes. There's a little arrow down on the thing pointing to it, so. Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of Planning Commission. Again, Grant Nelson here tonight on behalf of Connell LLC and Ladera. I'm here tonight with Tony Connell, Sherry Welsh, Will Welsh, Curtis Rowe, Jenny Romano, and Connie Henry. So our team is here if you have any questions during or while I'm presenting. But we're happy to be here, happy to be advancing these lots once again. So. It's grand, isn't it? Again, this is the midway point on plating, as you guys all know. The 64 acres just directly south of Costco, just north of the gravel mine and the batch plant, adjacent to County Road 5. We are actively working on marketing the property, so getting through this preliminary plat into final plat is important for us. We will be back, as Kevin said, in front of you soon to hopefully finalize the plat and make these lots available for sale. There we go. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Jenny Romano, who's going to run you through the various lots that Kevin previously described.
Good evening. Again, my name is Jenny Romano with Galloway. Address is 5500 Greenwood Plaza Boulevard, Suite 200 in Greenwood Village. So as Kevin already mentioned, the purpose of this preliminary plat is to create 12 lots ranging from about 1 acre to about 9.5 acres. In addition, we'll be creating 2 tracts that equate to about 19.4 acres. Those are to be used for future open space purposes. Also included in this plat is Whitesell Street, extending from Sweatsville Zoo Road down to County Road 5. This portion of roadway has since been built and dedicated as right-of-way to the town. And then in addition, we'll also be dedicating utility and public access easement to serve these lots in the future. As one of the requirements for the preliminary plat is to provide our preliminary design to service these lots, and therefore we have provided preliminary design for all vehicular access as well as utility services to service each of these lots. We've also provided the necessary grading to establish the drainage patterns, which align with the master drainage report as well. I'm going to turn it back over to Grant to go over the land use code.
As Kevin mentioned in the staff report, we believe that the lots meet the land use criteria outlined in the land use code. We also believe that the comprehensive plan has been met. That slide. The comprehensive plan and goals are being met as the staff has outlined in their staff report. And then the landscape is the landscape in this area. About 95% of the landscape has been installed in Whitesell so far. And it is being established. Hopefully we can get that fully established within the next year. We're having it maintained at this point. The open space to the northeast of the property is being established, and the pond that was built is operational and will become more operational as we move forward. At this point, I will hand it to Curtis Rowe with Kimley Horn to talk about the traffic issues.
Thanks, Grant. Good evening, members of Planning Commission. I'm Curtis Rowe with Kimley Horn. My address is 6200 South Syracuse Way in Greenwood Village. And I'm a traffic engineer. We prepared the traffic impact study for this project. Can't believe it, but it's almost been now 4 years ago, so time flies. But, you know, part of the task for us, as we are now looking at the phase one development, which obviously is the northern area of Ladera, is to compare what is proposed for land uses now compared to what we assumed in the original traffic study. And so this table on the screen illustrates how we did in estimating uses. And so the top rows there show what we evaluated in the original overall Ladera traffic study. And then the bottom rows there show what's currently planned. And so you can see that there are some changes in the uses, but the bottom row there in the table, that illustrates the net change in trips and associated with the project now compared to then and what the difference is. And so you can see from that we're projecting actually that this development as it's currently envisioned will generate less traffic in the morning peak hour than we originally studied. And the afternoon peak hour is slightly higher at 1% increase, which is negligible to the traffic. So based on this and the results of our traffic compliance study, we found that the original traffic study results and conclusions are still valid, relevant to this project. And so with that, I would be happy to answer any questions related to traffic as it relates to this Ladera annexation phase one or the development as we continue. But otherwise, this is just to summarize and show that this Ladera annexation number one is in compliance with the overall traffic study. Thank you.
And Curtis, Grant, Jenny, do you have a further presentation? Oh, okay. So we will circle back, I'm sure, with some questions. I'd like to think we will for any or all of you. So I understand staff, there is opportunity for public comment on this. So no further presentation from the developer at this time. Natalie, has anybody signed up nobody signed up? Okay, we are now opening public comment. And we now close public comment on business item 6A. So with that.
And that's opening and closing the public hearing.
Public hearing. Thank you. And we now bring it up front here. Commissioners, questions for any or all of the Ladera team there. And our town attorney, Carolyn, anything that you want to interject at this point?
No, nothing to add.
Okay, very good. All right, commissioners, I've got a couple questions, but let's, who wants to start this off here?
I'm good, Phil. I'm satisfied.
Jeremy? Okay, Marty, you guys surely have something.
Yes. So basically, any changes since we talked about this last? I read through and didn't see anything.
Nope, this
Really
is essentially an identical match to their sketch plan. Their sketch plan was the bubble diagram kind of showing planning areas, but it road kind of layout where the streets were or the internal roads and where lots were intended is identical. Nothing has really changed from sketch plan.
Okay.
I'm confused. Bring up the previous slide about the traffic study.
Yes, sir.
So last time we were and I realize it's not necessarily pertinent at this point, but it was at that point in the sketch plan. We were talking about hotel, storage facility, respite care. And was there at that time? So, and I realize this may just be for illustration purposes. I see medical, dental office, shopping center, home improvement store. is this just for, Curtis, is for illustration purposes or an assumption of what might be the likely use for that particular, site?
Yep, so these are the current anticipated uses. So mini warehouse, that's a storage facility, hotel, as you can see there, and as we talked about last time. The medical office, that's the respite care.
Okay,
And so IT just doesn't have a exact use for respite care. And so medical office, we verified with the facility that that traffic actually will fit within that code use for, you know, for that number of trips. Shopping center, that's just the other retail portion that's expected as part of the development. And then obviously the home improvement store, that's the Floor and Decor that's already in existence.
okay, because I know we had considerable discussion and there was some public interest in the various already stated uses of some of those lots.
Yes.
And we said that nothing substantially has changed. Anything else at all on the individual uses? I realize it's not pertinent, but anything at all?
Not really to do with this business item, but it's just, since we talked about this and it's an iterative process, there's kind of a major topic of, you know, one of the topics that came up last time. I just wanted to bring it up to make sure we're carrying it forward. Again, no bearing on this, but it's just, last time there was a lot of discussion on the storage facility. And, you know, there was speculation that you can't make a building like that attractive and that would fit in. I actually did some research on it and I printed some examples because I knew I wouldn't be able to find them again. But I found some really nice examples that you can make buildings like that really nice and would fit into something like this. So if anybody's interested, I printed them.
Well, that's going above and beyond, for which we commend you. Yeah, I suspect, having heard public comment and also you heard at that time, you heard the planning commissioners asserting that surely we could make sure these buildings, when you work with that particular business, that these would be attractive. And I'm sure Marty'd be happy to share these with you.
Happy
It's
to
just one of
look at
those
them.
things, like I
Oh.
said, it's just, sometimes the process can draw on and I didn't want to lose sight of something that was a kind of major at one of the last meetings, that just making sure we're carrying some of this forward.
Sure. And and we've shared a copy of it with staff. We have a design review criteria for Ladera that we have internally. Spent a lot of time and effort creating between Tony and Sherry and a number of us. So each of the tenants going forward and users going forward will have to go through our design review criteria and design review committee before they submit it to the town. So and yeah, this storage can look awful and they can look terrible. And we're gonna push them to look on the non-terrible side of it.
Yeah, I wondered where you were going with it because you said awful and terrible. And I was hoping it wasn't one or the other because that's not exactly what, and I also, to refer back to the council meeting, was there even more heated discussion about neither awful nor terrible. So anyway, I think we've said our piece on this, but thank you. That's certainly.
And it's the front door to our
my-
project. So it's
my-
really important to us as well.
My
that it really
left-hand guy
works.
here,
Yeah.
another volunteer who's
Yeah.
above and beyond. So that was good. Anything else, commissioners, on this?
Yeah. So I mean, I know this is a design picture too, and originally it showed some multifamily homes. Is that in consideration too? Because it doesn't look like that on the below, and I would assume that would change traffic a little bit as well, or is that no longer in consideration?
So when we originally did the first phase annexation, in the kind of southeast corner there, lot 4, lot 5, block 2, we had envisioned that could have been multifamily.
Okay.
At this point, our plan is to push the multifamily south of it into the next
Different
hopefully
phase in this.
annexation,
Got
and keep this commercial. So respite is going to take the lot 8, block 2 there. And so this will all be commercial. So no multifamily and no residential in the first phase.
Understood. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, last call. Any other questions, staff? Anything else, Kevin? Anything else to add? All right, with that, do I have a motion on business item 6A, Ladera preliminary plat?
Motion to approve item 6A, Ladera preliminary plat.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 6A, Ladera preliminary plat carries on a 5-0 vote. Thank you. Item 6B, Red Barn Coffee Site Plan. Chad?
1 second, Chairperson. Thank you, Chairperson. As you mentioned, item 6B is a development site plan application for Red Barn Coffee Shop. The property is currently owned by 5258 Ranch LLC, represented by Ed Holloway and Derek Hoffmeister. The applicant is Ripley Design, represented by Clara Russo. And so just quickly looking at where we're at with this process, for a commercial user, the development site plan is essentially the last step before getting to building permit, where they would be able to get an issued permit to then begin construction on the site. Following any site plan approval, there would be review of our building official to make sure that all codes are being met for that use. The subject property is located at 2100 Colorado Boulevard, which is directly opposite of Wild Wing Drive, consisting of a parcel of land roughly 2.2 acres. In October of 2022, this property underwent a comprehensive plan amendment that many of you may remember, changing its designation from rural residential to commercial mixed use, allowing for this use. The property was annexed to the town zoned community commercial earlier this year, complying with the CMU future land use designation. The applicant is proposing a coffee shop with drive-through, which is identified as a restaurant with drive-through service in the town's code of roughly 3,400 square feet in size. The use is permitted with conditions in the CC zoning district, and those predetermined conditions are outlined in your packet. One being that all restaurants shall provide a minimum of 5 stacking spaces associated with each drive-through window unless the director determines more are required. No required or intended stacking spaces shall block the safe flow of motoring or pedestrian traffic within the parking lot. And drive-through facilities located closer than 300 feet to a residential use shall operate no earlier than 6 a.m. or no later than 12 a.m. And lastly, no part of the active use area of the drive-through restaurant shall be located closer than 300 feet to a lot containing illegal conforming residential use. Staff has reviewed the site plan application and determined that it complies with that section 4.434 of the land use code. The parking requirement for a restaurant with drive-through is calculated as 1 space for every 125 square feet of the principal use, plus 1 per every 200 square feet of outdoor seating. In this case, the proposed square footage of the building requires 28 parking spaces, plus an additional 11 determined by the designed patio space, making the required parking amount 39 spaces per code. This site plan is providing 57 in total, exceeding that requirement. The proposal is also meeting the required bike spaces for this development. The proposed landscape plan includes 52% of the site to be functional open space, exceeding the minimum requirement of 25% for the commercial designation. The site includes flexible space, including a primarily irrigated turf that could be utilized for events and gatherings. In addition, this plan will provide an enhanced pedestrian crossing from the property to the west, crossing Colorado Boulevard to Wild Wing Drive directly across. The site plan was reviewed against the Timoth Land Use Code development and design standards and was determined to comply with the code with the exceptions of 2 criteria. The applicant requested two waivers for this site specific to the parking lot surface material and building buffer yard standards, which were reviewed by town council on October 24th. Their decisions and findings were as such. There was a waiver request to 5313A of the code, which is related to interior design of parking lots. As the code is stating, all parking and driveway areas and primary access to parking facilities shall be serviced with asphalt, concrete, or similar materials. Parks and open space exempted. Town council made the ruling that it has approved a waiver of a portion of the standard to allow 6 of those required 39 spaces and the associated driveways with those to be paved in a semi-permeable surface material called True Grid. The second waiver that was requested was for the buffer yard requirements. The requirement for a commercial use next to a rural residential surroundings is a buffer yard 40, consisting of a landscaped area of minimum of 40 feet in width for every 100 lineal feet of buffer yard. And there are 2 possible tree schedules outlined in our code. Option 1, 6 medium trees, conifer medium trees, and 2 shade trees. Option 2, 4 ornamental trees and 4 shade trees for every 100 lineal feet. Town council has approved a waiver of a portion of the standard, allowing a reduction from the required standard to 50% application of code section 5773 F2D. The width of the standard may be variable so long as the plantings around those area is at least 50% of the existing requirement. Staff has reviewed this request against the development site plan review criteria, the master drainage plan and technical criteria manual. Following our review, staff is recommending approval with the Red Barn Coffee site plan with the following conditions, just to allow staff to work with the applicant to make sure that any unresolved comments are done before final signature, and also to obtain a sewer easement through the Wild Wing Park that is required for this development to service sewer for this project that is actually going to be going forward to town council next week at their hearing to grant that easement. With that, I will turn it over to Clara if she would like to add anything to this.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Clara Rousseau. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Derek Hoffmeister and Ed. He is, both of them are with the ownership group, and you probably know them at this point. And I am here as the land planner and landscape architect. I'll keep this presentation pretty brief. I think Chad did a good job of going over all the metrics here. We wanted to spend a little bit of time on the vision. This has kind of been a long journey for us, making this thing become a reality. And I think we started almost 2 years ago, and we shared with you initial perspective renderings of what this is going to look like. And we're sort of right on the cusp of this becoming a reality. So everyone's really excited about that. This is just kind of a fun graphic to show you the existing barn, what it looked like, and then how the renderings compared to that. Touching again on timeline, like I said, our pre-app was submitted in November of 2021. And since then, we've undergone comprehensive plan amendment and annexation and rezoning. We've also started our site plan review process, and that's been about a 12-month process. Last week or a couple weeks ago, we had our 2 waivers approved, and we're here tonight, sort of the final step before we go through building permit review. I'm going to skip over these. Touching on site design, I think Chad already did a really good job here. The only thing I would point out, and something I think is worth mentioning, we are, as part of sort of ongoing discussions and ideas that were touched on early on in the process, we are providing the enhanced crosswalk as part of our property, and that'll connect across the road to Wildwing Park. So in summary, we're here sort of at the final part of this process. Again, as Chad mentioned, we have those 2 waivers approved. We're happy to discuss that in more detail if anyone's interested. And I wanted to leave you all with, I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but there is a criteria in the Timnath Land Use Code, and it's section 2999. And our site plan conforms to all of those. Just wanted to highlight that. Again, we're here to answer any questions you have.
Very good. So this is a site plan. There is no public hearing on a site plan. So we bring it up here to the commissioners' questions. I have one. Let me just lead off with one. Is the only thing that goes to council the sewer easement? This is a site plan, so that wouldn't normally go
Correct. That's all
one-
that's left.
one
for
continuous
council.
building. So that's the only thing that goes to council.
Correct.
And are there any anticipated issues with that? I would think not. But okay. Commissioners, other questions?
I think it's a great looking project. I like the way you're repurposing gates and so forth. I think this is gonna look great. Thank you.
Thanks.
One question, and that's just about the drive-throughs. There's spaces for 5 cars for each drive-through, right? Is that what it said? And then,
Show you.
is there any concern, I guess, I've tried to drive through this by Starbucks at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and the traffic backs up a little bit. Is there any concerns that the traffic could back up onto Colorado? And if it does, is there a contingency for that?
So I can kind of speak to that. And so I can walk you through our site plan. So on the north side of the building, sort of the north side of your screen, we are accommodating stacking space. We're showing 5 on this plan, but we could easily fit 7 along that north axis. And then as you turn going south on the right side of your screen, there is additional stacking space there. So we could easily accommodate up to 20 cars.
Okay.
That being said, one of the considerations for this project was to also provide additional parking. We acknowledge that we're a commercial use in the middle of ag land, and we can't share our neighbors' parking or anything like that. So we wanted to kind of minimize those impacts.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Jeremy?
I think my question is more out of curiosity than anything, but what was the 6 specific parking spots, a separate kind of material? And what is that for?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. And so you can see where kind of Chad is it you, Chad? Okay, where Chad is outlining the
Yep.
parking. Everything on the east side of the site is what we're calling overflow parking.
Yep.
The overflow is surfaced with a true grid material, and it's a permeable surface. And the waiver we were asking for was for 6 spaces within that overflow lot. That's what we needed to get to our 39 required spaces.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it for me.
Marty?
So just one question on page 77 of the packet. Took a while staring at it to see what I was looking at, but then I realized that was Wildwing. So I like the idea of the enhanced crossing there. I'm assuming that means a couple pages back, there was the lights, that come on when there's crossings on the
Oh,
side.
a hawk light,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, so that's a great idea because people for a 40-mile-an-hour road, they move pretty quick. But did I read that map correctly that they're rerouting the sidewalk? Right, because I thought it said something about rerouting the sidewalk that comes along the north side there of the soccer fields.
The sidewalk that is in Wildwing Park is staying as is.
Oh, okay.
They're connecting into it.
Oh, okay.
So they'll have a
Okay.
crosswalk and then there'll be a little stretch of concrete over
Yeah,
to that existing walk.
okay, I misread it then. That's all I had.
Very good. Other questions? Staff, anything else? Chad, anything? Nothing over here on my left, on my right? Okay. All right, very good. With that said, do I have a motion on business item 6B, the Red Barn Coffee Site Plan?
I'd like to move that we approve the item 6B Red Barn Coffee Site Plan.
A second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Ed, Cora. Derek? Yeah. Reports, the only thing I have is, and I mentioned this at the outset, we did, council did elevate Wendy Newland to a regular commissioner's seat as per the precedent that's been set for a while. We have an active search going on, as you may have seen for some of the communications. Application deadline is the 15th, with an option to extend it if necessary. And I'm told there's a couple applications that are already in. So any questions on that? Anything else? Any other report issues, questions? Anybody? Staff, anything? Don? Nope. Staff? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you all.